That was nice. They're probably team was probably able to be more of a college student on both those. I know they enjoyed the football game on Saturday, and then we had a light workout yesterday, and energy was pretty good, and probably allowed some of them to get healthy and get back after this afternoon. Heading to Maryland on Wednesday, and that can be a really challenging place with how loud that place can get with some talented young players over there. So looking forward to playing this week.
Maryland kind of been adapting to moving into this conference, and it's probably taken a lot of lumps over these years, but making progress. How do you see them now versus a couple of years ago, and how do you measure their progress?
First of all, there's a lot of pride with their program. I mean, the fans are coming out for their matches. It's like I said, it's really truly one of the hardest places to play in the conference. It's just it's really loud. It's like a nightclub with the lights on. They've got somebody that's spinning records between points over there, and you guys are chuckling, but it's the truth. It's really loud. So they've got some pride behind it. He's done a really good job with recruiting and bringing in some talented players. Nice freshman class that's followed up the freshman class they got last year. They've got I think one of the best liberos in the league. That's I think going into her junior year. I really like her a lot. She was injured last weekend. That probably hurt him a little bit, but. She's good, really good outside hitter, nice right side, some really talented athletic middles to run in a 6'2". Getting the pieces to play. This isn't an easy league to jump in and just all of a sudden move to the top of the conference. But, they're building it brick by brick, and I think he's done a really good job there. His entire staff, he's kept the staff together, and they're doing a bang-up job.
You were here last week talking about we're all in this together. We're going to figure it out and get better, and you certainly did this past week, wouldn't you say, against Minnesota and Indiana?
Nebraska, yeah. It was. A good week. There's no question about it. But that's one of the things that we've seen about this group is I think this is a really resilient group. They come into practice, and those of you guys that have been in the gym, it's every day they're coming in ready to work. They're with a good energy. I like being in the gym with this group, and you're looking back at the Nebraska match and jumping out on them early, playing pretty well the first couple sets. We know we got a little bit of help on their side, and the third set was pretty competitive, and then the fourth set we're down, and our kids just dug in and raised their level of play even more there in the fourth, and you come out with the victory. And Indiana playing there, we were a little banged up going into that match. We had some kids that with some playing through some nicks and pains there, and but just kind of gutted that out. That was a little kind of a weird match because there wasn't long rallies, and so the hype in the field house and the hype on your team is with stuff blocks or amazing digs, and there just wasn't many of that. They were chipping off of our hands and which wasn't allowing for a whole lot of stuff blocks or balls that made it through past the block. And then offensively, we were hitting at a really high percentage, so the points were pretty short. And but I thought it was just kind of business-like. Even people just grinding through and finding a way. And you're certainly proud of them. It's these guys understand. Our senior leadership certainly has made the point across that this is a long season, and let's just keep finding ways to get better. And I think we have.
Lauren Gillis missed the start of the year, and probably early on had some ups and downs, but it seemed like last week in particular she stepped up 6 rotations against Nebraska other than serving, and then it seemed like she was the energy player the other night against Indiana. You see her becoming what you would hope at this point of her last year?
Oh, I mean, we're certainly heading that direction. Yeah, really, it's been a while since he's played 6 rotations to come out and do it with, maybe the team that's playing better volleyball for the previous few weeks than anybody in the country, and come out there in 6 rotations. I thought she handled herself well, passed well, and defended, and it didn't surprise me whatsoever. In Indiana, it was, here, jump on my back and let's go from an offensive standpoint. She's her and Sid are getting more and more comfortable. It's a different tempo ball that she's receiving than our other outsides, and I think her and Sydney are getting a little bit more comfortable with being able to do that. I think she just, I think she's heading in the direction that we're wanting her to go. I love her confidence. I love the fact that she's willing to battle through probably a little bit more than what she's done in the past, and we're learning what situations to get her the ball, and she's finding areas of the court. I loved how she approached this past week.
You could win your 400th match as a coach this week, but my question is, when you were growing up, did you want to be a college volleyball coach?
Did I want to be a college volleyball coach? I don't think I had visions of being a college volleyball coach until probably the first day I became a college volleyball coach. That certainly wasn't in the plans or in the cards at all. I couldn't imagine myself being the head coach at Wisconsin back when I was in my 20s, or certainly in my teens. I thought, I was convinced I was going to be the next Johnny Bench growing up. So there wasn't much thought of that.
But it's worked out pretty well.
It's worked out pretty well. Very, very, extremely fortunate to be with the players that I've coached over the years. It's very cool to continue to hear from them. We're up there at Michigan State a couple weeks ago, and one of my Albany players had tickets to the Michigan football game and canceled that to come over and eat lunch and watch our match. And the number of players that are still stepping in here to watch the matches that have graduated a few years ago is just really, really cool. That's one of the cool things about this profession, is just the relationships that you're building. It goes so much beyond the wins and the losses. The relationships that you're building, and you continue to hear from those players long after their career is done. That's as rewarding as any win that you get, or any practice, is that you go through some challenging things, some rewarding times, and those bonds continue to grow afterwards, and you're watching them mature and raise families and things like that. That's what makes this profession really, really special.